need it to be fall. The colors, the weather, spooky season. Despite Halloween being my favorite holiday, mostly because I like the funny, spooky vibes, horror has never really been a genre I've been super crazy about. It's not that I don't like it per se, it's mostly that I'm worried I won't be able to handle it. I am literally the easiest person on this planet to scare. You could materialize behind me while I'm doing dishes and I'll piss myself. Now, I don't personally own a lot of horror-related media outside of these books, this plushie I won at Dave & Buster's, and these games. I like Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, I should probably put an asterisk next to that. I enjoy the lore, I enjoy the vibes, I enjoy watching other people play Five Nights at Freddy's and cower in fear at Chuck E. Cheese robots. Have I played some of the games? Yes. Have I beaten any of them? I mean, I made it to Night 4 in Sister Location. So no. Now, I bought the mobile version of FNAF 1 way back in, like, 2017. I played it once at a roller rink, died to Foxy, and then never touched it again. Well, I finally changed that recently. I played through the first game just for the hell of it. And you know what? It's pretty damn cool. Let's talk about it. You all know the story. Local dude takes a job as a nighttime security guard for a Charles Entertainment cheese knockoff. You can't leave your office. Some genius somehow figured out how to make doors use electricity to stay closed. The animatronics get real quirky at night. Go crazy. Well, you can't actually go very crazy in FNAF 1. You're stuck in place in your office with limited means of defending yourself from the murderous mascots. And if they get you, or if your power runs out... nice, perfect horror game environment. Now there's piss and shit in my pants. You get a camera system you can flip through to see where everyone is, a light to see out into the hallways, and the doors that somehow use electricity to stay closed. Somebody probably went to engineering school for this. You ever think about that? Now, I understand why it's this way. If you could just barricade yourself in your office behind sealed tight doors, then there wouldn't be any threat or challenge, and that's where power comes in. Every night gets a little harder, the animatronics get quirkier and quirkier as the week goes by, and each night you'll get a message from one of your coworkers to listen to. Apparently, Ralph is his actual name, according to this canon choose-your-own-adventure book called The Week Before. I may have gotten sidetracked and read 64 pages of it after looking it up, but that's not the point. So phone guy Ralph tries to offer up an explanation on why the animatronics are wandering around in between, giving advice on how to play the game. The mechanical parts and the mascots might lock up, so they'll activate their free roam mode at night. Just don't let them catch you, or they'll stuff you into a suit, because they think you're a naked endoskeleton. Anybody with a functioning frontal lobe can pick up on the stench of corporate bullshit emanating from that. And then he tells you about someone losing their frontal lobe to an animatronic.
But then there was the bite of 87.
He fucking dies in the Night 4 call. I can't even begin to wrap my head around how this comically sleazy company and its glorified death trap have stayed open for business this long. A magical place for kids and grown-ups alike. Everybody can mysteriously die here. The first night's pretty easy, nobody really does anything before 2 a.m., so you're kind of just left to vibe while you listen to the voicemail. Having heard these phone calls loads of times from watching other people play, almost made them feel like listening to an old friend, keeping you company in your own personal hell. Phone Guy's the only other human you ever hear in this game, and I found myself not wanting his messages to end because when they did, that would mean I'd be left all alone in the dark while I do this. Where is that fucking rabbit? Where did he go? The chicken is at my door. Where did that purple piece of shit go? Oh, there he is. Sorry, management. I, lost the giant purple rabbit. My bad. Night 2 is when Foxy shows up. Just look at your camera every now and then to stall him from running at your door. You don't even have to look at him. You can just examine the toilets and it'll be like, damn, foiled again. Freddy starts moving on Night 3, and after that you'll be dealing with the same stuff each night, just more aggressively. The jump scares, I think, are also pretty good. Except Foxy's. He just kind of leans into the room after charging down the hall like he's asking you for the Wi-Fi password. Plenty of Easter eggs, too. Foxy will sing off in the distance sometimes. This picture of Freddy can get all messed up. Crying children can show up on this camera. Maybe, if you're lucky, even the skeleton will deem you worthy of eye contact. FNAF 1, as well as 2, and to a somewhat lesser extent 3, also looks pretty realistic. Well, in terms of graphics at least. The map layout of this pizzeria is complete nonsense. Like, why does a Chuck E. Cheese style place have so much unused space? And why are these halls so long? No one's gonna be going down these. Despite that being in the back of my mind, the more realistic art style did kind of pick up the slack and made the game feel all the more immersive and unnerving to me. The animatronics also reek of Chuck E. Cheese inspiration. They also canonically reek because they've never been cleaned, but it's not immediately obvious why they want you dead. I mean, sure, you can probably gather that they're haunted. It's kind of common knowledge at this point. But what caused that? With the only dialogue being the phone guy's messages, you're left to piece together the story on your own with those messages plus the environment itself, like this rules for safety poster. Standard stuff, don't run in the building or hit each other or poop on the floor. Did management also conveniently forget to tell me about the fabled shit of 86? But then there's stuff like stay close to mom and leave before dark, mixed in with the company greeting saying something like, we're not responsible if you die, we're also going to cover up any deaths, haha, and news articles on the wall that tell of children being lured backstage by someone dressed as a mascot and blood leaking from the animatronic's eyes later on. Even then it's all kind of cryptic, like this is just kind of stuff you're probably not gonna catch on a first playthrough all at once, so naturally there'd be an obscene amount of fan theories to make sense of it all. The creator, Scott Cawthon, also cannot spell the word pizzeria to save his life. So if you thought that the animatronics looked uncanny, almost too lifelike and human-esque, well, they're haunted by ghost children, so kinda. But then that begs even more questions, like why are they after you and who actually killed them? So, while you're wondering what the answers are, you're forced to sit in terror as these hulking beasts slowly make their way towards you, with your only form of defense being doors. And even then, you have a limit on how much you can use them, and on how much information you can gather on where everyone is. And even if they fail to get you once, they will be back. There is no escape. You can quite literally only be saved by the 6 a.m. bell. Altogether, it makes a pretty damn good and scary environment. But I am nowhere near the first to tell you that. This is a fairly easy game. The resource management is tight, but not too tight. That said, every night except the first I won by dumb luck, so take that with a grain of salt. It heavily plays on fear of the unknown, so when you've grown up watching people play the game and make enough Furies to fill the fucking Library of Alexandria, you're gonna come to expect everything. Thus, the game loses a lot of what makes it scary. It'll still be unsettling and unnerving on later runs, but not quite as scary. And at the end of it all, you've survived your 5 nights, you've uncovered some of the mystery, you're rewarded with $120, so you were knowingly placed in a situation you very well could have died in, and then your boss said, good job, sport, here's your minimum wage, see you next week. If this game actually is set in 1993 like all the theories say, then they're actually underpaying you. Fazbear Entertainment's scumminess gives healthcare companies a run for their money. After night 5, you unlock the 6th night, because yeah, that's definitely the reasonable thing to do. 50 cents is all you get for it. Beat that and you get the custom night, where you can set all 4 animatronics AI levels to whatever you like. Hey, watch this. You can try your hand at the famous 420 mode, where everybody's aggression is set to the highest possible level. Emphasis on you. Every single win I had in this game except for night 1 was with a power outage and me getting lucky. And at the end of the custom night, you'll get... oh, fired. Okay, beautiful, lovely. Firing somebody for odor when you know your robots have decaying corpses inside of them is certainly, a decision, and... that's pretty much FNAF 1. You know, having finally sat down and played the damn thing, I really appreciate it as a work of art a lot more. I honestly wish I'd sat down and finished it and gave my thoughts on it sooner, even if really everything I've said is nothing new. I mean, the game's only like 40 minutes long. It's definitely not a super long experience, but it really didn't need to be. FNAF 1's atmosphere, its style, the way it tells its story, even if there were a lot of questions to be answered. Sure, the later games did similar things, but this one did it first, and I think it's really alluring. Honestly amazing that this was one guy's last shot at game development, and it ended up becoming as massive as it did. I, for one, also think it's incredibly funny that Scott Cawthon shifted from video game evangelism to Showbiz Pizza Child Murder Fest 2014. It's a good thing Fazbear Entertainment was just a Chuck E. Cheese-esque company and not like a defense contractor or something. But can you imagine that? Unleashing an army of Freddy Fazbears against an enemy army? Faz bazookas. The Faz nuke. Yeah, okay. Alright, thanks. So I just got off the phone with Boeing, and they told me that Freddy Faz B-52s were a bad idea. Yeah, fuck it, let's do a double feature. Following a whopping 3 months after the original, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is... well, it's the second Five Nights at Freddy's. You're still a pizzeria's night guard. There's still haunted robots who want to stuff you, over twice as many this time, too. There's the original cast in their withered forms being stored in the back for parts, the puppet and balloon boy who just kind of exist, and the new toy variants who are supposedly set up with facial recognition that's connected to a criminal database. In 1987? Yeah, this was a big game for lore, with it being set in the year of the fabled Bite of 87. If you die during a night, there's a small chance you'll get to play a special minigame that'll give you some context on past events. You might see the puppet stuffing dead bodies into suits. You might see this dude we've all just collectively agreed to call Purple Guy do a drive-by stabbing while he drunk drives home from McDonald's. And you could even see Foxy encounter several dead bodies before lunging out at you. A theory I used to see a lot was that Phone Guy was Purple Guy. Oh, how ignorant we were once upon 11 years ago. Speaking of which, Phone Guy's back. With this being a prequel to FNAF 1, that means our friend Ralph is still alive and well. We still never get to meet face to face, but he's always welcome to stay as long as he wants in Purgatory with me. I think the Night 1 call was recorded a while before the game happens because he calls your shifts a summer job when this game is set in November. The later ones have to be recent. They're about investigations and rumors concerning previous employees. Gee, wonder what that refers to. But moving on to actual gameplay for now, it's pretty different. No doors this time, but the building can't run out of power anymore, so at least there's that. You got a flashlight you can shine all around to see stuff, but that does take power. There's also a spare Freddy head you can use to hide from the animatronics if they get into your office. Most of them it works fine on, won't work with Withered Foxy, so you just have to flash him over and over. I could have phrased that better, but you get the idea. Nights are a bit shorter, more cameras, way more animatronics to keep track of. There's a music box you have to keep wound throughout the night. There's just generally a lot more you have to keep track of this time. That said, you only really have to pay attention to your hallway and vents and can entirely ignore most of the cameras and only focus on the music box, which is kinda lame. On later nights, you actually should ignore the other cameras, maybe excluding the ones in your vents, because there'll be so much shit flying at you all at once that you'll just be wasting your precious time. As a gameplay decision, that's Also, I hate this little bastard. He'll slip into your office, take your flashlight's batteries, refuse to leave, and leaves you vulnerable to Foxy. He's like smoking. The cigarette itself won't kill you. The stage 4 lung cancer it brings will. FNAF 2 is very chaotic. There's a ton you have to keep track of all at once, and I really enjoy it. There's not the same resource management FNAF 1 had. There's still some, but it's not as big. The game focuses more on being hectic and throwing stuff at you left and right, so the challenge comes from keeping track of everything all at once. I do think it's way tougher than FNAF 1 was. I struggled a lot with Night 4, which was thanks in part to, frankly, just having a skill issue. I honestly don't really think it's that scary of a game, to be honest, but that also might just be because I know so much about what to expect from watching Let's Plays. If there's any fear factor here, then it's probably from me being afraid someone's gonna yank my monitor down and I'll die again and I won't get my mask up fast enough. Oh, God damn it! The way the animatronics look in the hallway is also really cool. And my favorite screen is Withered Freddy looking at you with nothing but sheer disappointment on his face like he's your dad and just saw your report card.
Well, Lily, I see you got a C in geometry. No, I'm not mad. I just had one too many Fazbears. So as your punishment, I'm going to get very close to your face and do Pac-Man's waka 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 thing. Waka waka waka.
That's about it for the gameplay, so I guess all that's left to look at is the rest of the lore now. So the toy animatronics took parts from the withered ones, who I believe were already possessed when the game starts, but I don't actually know. The Night 6 phone call mentions someone using a yellow costume from the back, and I'm pretty sure that this is referring to the purple guy doing some more murders, but I don't know if they're the ones in the withered animatronics or not. These could also be different haunted animatronics from the ones we see in FNAF 1. I really don't know. Anyway, I think that's probably why the toy animatronics are acting up. They have haunted metal in them or something. Dude, I have no clue. I haven't kept up with FNAF lore in years. This place ends up shutting down after Night 6 and the toys are scrapped, and we also learned that the game is set in 19 Bite of 87. That probably happens at some point during the week. The popular belief, I think, is still that the guy you play as in Nights 1 through 6 was the victim. Honestly, now that I'm writing all this out, I think this is where the lore started its path down to being kind of a convoluted mess. I don't know how much of it was actually planned out from the beginning. So the place shuts down, and then sometime later it reopens with a lower budget only to shut down again. There was anywhere between 6 and 11 murders, all probably perpetrated by one fellow whose appearance is of a violet hue. Then he either got convicted or was charged but let go because of a lack of evidence. I don't think Scott Cawthon actually knew what the word convicted means when he made FNAF 1. And I think until March of 2015 when FNAF 3 came out, I think that's what we had. By no means am I a lore wizard. By no means is this me actually trying to put together a timeline. I'm just spitballing whatever comes to mind, man. Oh, and this game also has its own custom night after Night 6. I certainly tried to get there. It went incredibly poorly, but I did try. And I think that's about it for FNAF 2. FNAF 1 blew expectations out of the fucking water like a torpedo shot at a cruise ship, so naturally FNAF 2 would have to be bigger and better, and it does both. Of course, the series isn't completed here, far from it, but the original trilogy would come to a close with the next game, Five Nights at Freddy's 3, which I am not covering today, because that game scares me really, really bad. You know, there's something to be said about growing up experiencing works of art through the eyes of others and then finally experiencing them for yourself later in life. Life is short, you know, if you see something on social media and you think it looks cool, what are you waiting for? Go experience it for yourself. You go bake that pie or take that hike or sew that dress or whatever it is you want to do. Don't let your Faz dreams be Faz dreams. You go work as an engineer and you make those Freddy Faz planes if you want. Just, like, make sure they don't get haunted.
Hello? Welcome to Fazbear, a magical airline company for kids and grown-ups alike. There may or may not be a haunted robot somewhere on this plane. Don't worry about it. I said, don't worry about it.